I had an extraordinary frame once. Made of silver, it had a filigree border with just enough room for a tiny picture to be put inside it behind the glass backing. It was given to us when our eldest daughter, Rena, was born, and I was enchanted by its beauty. I kept it in a drawer, waiting for just the right photo to place inside of it. But then I would forget, precious though it was, that it was there, only to discover it again when I was cleaning a drawer or closet and found it. For 30 years, wherever we moved, I would take it with me, always thinking I put it on display in all of its perfection. But I kept hesitating until recently, as I organized my new home office, because my office is gone out there in the project. And Rena is now in her second contract as a rabbi in Chicago. I found it broken. Looking at it and thinking of all the years gone by, it made me wistful about opportunities lost, enjoyment delayed, meaning not pursued. Do you have things, or more importantly, people in your life that you should have loved more, enjoyed more, placed at the center of your experience more? Relationships that you took for granted that, if you truly engaged, could have lifted you up and brought you joy or meaning, but you kept in abeyance in your life's proverbial drawer. Yom Kippur, this essential holiday, asks us to peruse the attics and basements and drawers of our lives and take another look at what we are missing, that we might live this life more fully, love and feel more deeply. It's one of the many things in Judaism that can bring greater meaning to our lives. But we too often also set this tradition inside the attic of our being, not understanding that it can gorgeously frame our existence and help bring us depth to the time that we have. But you well know that not all things saved for another time become lost or broken. But that which we thought antiquated can sometimes be drawn upon again, its inherent value rediscovered. I was reminded of this during my last 10th grade trip to New York City, which I take every year with our high school youth. There I give the kids free time around Rockefeller Center, a risky thing for rabbis to do with 16-year-olds. But this year will be my 25th and final trip, and I've never lost a kid. Although once I think the whole group lost me. Well, this year while I was waiting for them to return, I was hanging out in the center and I noticed a huge line, blocks long, of young people, and went to inquire of some of them, because of my own personal FOMO, what are you waiting for? And this kid responded to me that a record store down the street was releasing new albums, and they were waiting in line to purchase them. Vinyl? You're lining up for records to play on a record player? Do you even own a turntable? I was a little incredulous. Yes, they responded. We love the sound, the authenticity. Who knew, as I thought sheepishly about my 300 albums gathering dust at home, but vinyl, scratchy sound and all, is back. Surely there are many things in our attics and basements and drawers that are treasures waiting to be rediscovered. When you peruse there, you might not find an invaluable painting by Chuck Close, like someone recently thinks they did. But I've spent my life as a rabbi trying to show you that Judaism is one of those things worth retrieving and placing more at the center of your life. A Judaism that you may have put in your attic for whatever reason and yet held on to. Now, I'm not referring to your proud sense of Jewish identity or connection to community, or even our idiosyncratic way of looking at or being in the world. You know what I mean? But your Judaism as a religion, a spiritual practice, a call to personal blessing. Religion. I know it's a problematic word these days. And I well know, as I've taught many times, that Judaism should not just be defined as a religion, but is a sense of peoplehood and culture that Mordechai Kaplan taught is really akin to a civilization and not just a creed. And yet, the religious part of Judaism, the call to covenant, to a partnership with the holy, that we name as God, that asks you to say, Hineni, here I am, and open yourself up to amazing possibility, is a spiritual practice at our Jewish civilization's foundational core. Now, if the media is correct, and polling from the Pew Institute as well, to talk about religion in America right now is not a popular topic. American society has been, dare I say, or dare I quote one of my albums, losing our religion for quite a while. American churches, which in my childhood, back in the 60s, were popular, are now struggling. Caught, some commentators state, between a fundamentalism on the one hand that is misogynistic, homophobic, anti-scientific, and a liberalism on the other that doesn't seem to play a role distinct from any other social justice organization one might join. Synagogues are struggling similarly, though less so, because they're centers of Jewish identity, the primary way for us as American Jews to connect. But I know, were I to take a poll here of this gathering and this religious moment about your deep belief in God, your commitment to mitzvot, to keeping the tradition, your responses would vary. And a number of you would say, I'm Jewish, Rabbi, but not what? Not religious. Jewish religiosity, dot, the word for religion in Hebrew, as a way of being and knowing in the world, has been placed by many of us in the storage drawers, basements, and attics of our minds. The problem with rejecting a deeper engagement with religion as liberal people, because it's been misused or co-opted by others, instead of taking ownership of it for ourselves as spiritual expression that can touch our souls, is that emptiness abounds in our culture. The technological, artificial intelligence blockway chain of arranging our world has yet to fill our existence with meaning. You Bay Area people know that. Instead, we live in a culture where the worship of individualism, the idolatry of celebrity, has led to a pandemic of nihilism and narcissism and loneliness. And I worry that when we progressive Jews diminish our religious particularity, we miss so much. Judaism as a religious practice can provide a pathway to restoring our own sense of soulfulness. Take a breath, everyone. That's your neshama, the tradition says. It nurtures the awareness of wonder and blessing that surrounds us in spite of our life's challenges. As a spiritual practice, it presents a deeper way of being. The religious part of Judaism sees Kedusha, holiness, in the everyday. And it teaches that you yourself, no matter how self-critical you are, and you are a beautiful reflection of the holy, of God. It beckons us to build palaces in time, ala Heschel, by engaging a true Shabbat of rest, teaching us that life isn't just about work or those cool experiences we have, but also about appreciating just being. And the Jewish calendar invites you to go on an even deeper ride, celebrating holidays that put you in sync with the seasons. Track the moon, it says, and appreciate that you're part of a larger universe as you celebrate the changes of the seasons with family and friends. Now, I know that the objection to being religious for some of us comes from concern that religiosity is anti-intellectual. But with more Jews receiving Nobel Prizes in physics and chemistry, I beg to differ. Surely you guys saw Oppenheimer. Take the Jews out of the movie, there's no movie. It's our study of Torah, which we see as a religious act that encourages questioning and searching for meaning. When you study Torah, you are joining in a spiritual, intellectual conversation that motivates aha moments, in which one might conclude that God is a force that gives you the courage to face yours and the world's problems. It's a study that inspires tikkun olam, teaching that God needs you to be a partner, challenging the pharaohs of our day, repairing that which is broken and that which we broke. Yes, Judaism as a spiritual practice can be embraced not just by those who call themselves Orthodox, God bless them, but by we Reform, Renewal, Reconstructionists, non-denominational, conservative, Jew-boo Jews, whatever label you want. But embrace it as a progressive, modern, intellectual person. In her book entitled Enchantment, Catherine May, a British author, talks about falling in love with your life again. She writes, I quote, "I have lost some fundamental part of knowing, some elemental human feeling. Without it, the world feels like tap water left overnight. We've become disconnected from meaning in a way that we don't even know how to perceive. We sense it when we worry that we cannot stem the flow of our own materialism, when the pull of our smartphones feels a lot like addiction. I need a better way to walk through this life," she writes. "I want to be enchanted again." End quote. And so this liberal, non-Jewish British woman began a journey of spiritual seeking. One mitzvah she has embraced, because there's like mitzvot, is she leaves herself little notes around the house, little reminders to go on walks, to meet friends, to reconnect with her life. Judaism is a note as well for you, a framework for seeing the miraculous in time and understanding the blessing in your life no matter how short or long. It's a relationship with holiness, yes, but also with values and with community, with seeing the Kedusha, the wonder and the love in the everyday. Our challenge is to be more intentional as liberal Jews, to maybe use the calendars in our phones and leave yourself life notes to help you sanctify time so you will celebrate Shabbat and light candles each week and welcome in the day of rest with family and friends. You need that demarcation. Maybe you'll set reminders to make blessings and pray in your own words when you wake up. Moda ani lefanecha melachai v'gayam. How grateful I am to be alive and face another day. Or when you're at Gary Danko or your favorite burrito shop, before you eat, to be aware of the blessing and say a blessing. Hamotzi lachem min haaretz. If you've never done it before, or put it aside, to take back your Seder table and make a Seder and go on the journey of freedom and value that's so significant for our people's self-understanding. While you're doing it, embrace your wicked child self and your wise child self. And don't be afraid now and then, especially the men among us, to be the one who's silent now and then. I get reminded of that by my spouse. To make a note to give tzedakah with time and money and help the God in you repair the world. And yes, to be in minyan and prayer here in this sanctuary or somewhere else, even if you struggle with God, 1 or 2 Fridays a month, reserving the others for Shabbat dinners at home. This religiosity, this dot at your level of engagement with Judaism, it can be a precious anchor and frame in your life. A way of bringing back the balance, the grounded perspective, the hope, and yes, the enchantment. You know, a long time ago, as a rabbinic student back in Jerusalem, I once went for a walk in the ultra-religious neighborhood Mea Shearim. I was looking for the perfect shofar. I wanted to have a beautiful, amazing one to bring back home. I wandered from store to store. There are a lot of shofar stores in Mea Shearim, folks. I never was finding the right one until I found myself looking so carefully at some shofars in a basket in this one dusty store when the shopkeeper confronted me. I've been watching you. I see what you're doing. You are looking for wonder, but you haven't seen it's been all around you all the time, he said. You don't even realize it. He then pulled on a rope above him and opened up one of those attic ladders that comes down, and he motioned me to climb up. It was a different time. Well, when I did so, I saw an amazing thing. The whole floor above me, the whole attic, was filled with shofars. It was a moment of radical amazement. And it was a reminder, a lesson, that the wonder, the enchantment, the beauty was there with me all the time. So is this Judaism. Take it out of the drawer this year. Remove it from the attic. It's precious and waiting to play a part in your life. Scratchy imperfections and all that can be so significant. I believe it'll make your life better for you as you walk by the way, as you lie down, and as you rise up. It's been an honor to be able to teach you this life lesson, this sermon, these last 11 years. Gemar Hatima Tova. May you inscribe yourselves into the book of life. The challenge is not just to exist, but to embrace the life you have. Let this Judaism help you. Amen.